She's Kelsey.
And he's Josh.
And you've just tuned into the conversation. This month on the conversation, we have a special report that I did about a very unique kind of school. Kelsey, tell me, tú hablas dos lenguas, ¿verdad?
Verdad.
And when did you learn those two languages? Did you learn them in high school, or did you learn them in college, or did you learn them way back when you were a preschooler?
Actually, I started learning Spanish when I was in middle school, and I kind of just stuck with it through high school, college, and it's just become a part of my curriculum. I kind of look forward to my journalism classes and my Spanish classes, so.
Okay, but you didn't learn them when you were like 5 years old. You weren't just going in between two different languages.
No, I wasn't the bilingual until I'm really not bilingual now, but you know.
But you know it.
I'm pretty sure if you learn it at a young age, like 5 or 4, you'll be bilingual. But just me being an old hag trying to catch on to it, you know.
Well, I did this report on a couple of kids, and they're not just learning Spanish. They're learning Japanese, and they're learning Swahili and English, and it's all a part of this Montessori method that's not just about languages, but it's also about learning by touching. You know, your parents say, don't touch that.
Right.
You know, but you want to know what it is, you want to know what it feels like, and they actually encourage you to touch everything so you can learn about everything.
See, I was that child who wanted to touch the iron, even though obviously the iron was hot, so you know.
But, you know, if you didn't touch it the first time, you didn't know.
I would have never known that the iron was hot. After that, you couldn't get me to look at an iron. So, you know.
Check out this report I did on the first class Montessori school.
Order, ability, tattoo, ichi, ni, san, uno, dos, tres.
Did you get all of that? Well, if you didn't, maybe it's because you don't speak basic Swahili, Japanese, and Spanish.
When I say gracias, you say de nada. That's it.
But the kids, ranging from toddlers to 3rd grade at first class Montessori, do. It's all part of Principal Evelyn Hibbler's mission to teach the Montessori way and get kids thinking for themselves. Before she discovered the educational style of Dr. Maria Montessori, she started here 35 years ago at Memphis City Schools.
I taught in the Memphis City School System for 10 years, and I was teaching vocal music. And then my husband at that time was transferred to Seattle to do a certain study and research. And at the time, also, my children were attending a Montessori school in Memphis. I noticed how my 4-year-old daughter was bringing home little letters, 4-letter words, and pronouncing them on little strips of paper. And I was impressed with her ability to read at that age. In my junior high school environment, some of our children were having problems with reading, and I felt that they could have or should have been exposed to more phonics at that particular time. So I found myself actually teaching in my music class. After my music lessons were over, I was teaching English, reading, mathematics, science, in order to bring them up to where I felt they should be. So I said, well, you know, I'm so interested in the children achieving, maybe I can start at the very beginning. So that was an opportunity when we moved to Seattle, Washington, and I went into the Montessori school, and I saw the children reading, and they were in the environment going from work to work to work, and independently. And I decided to resign from the school system, and I did my training in Seattle, Washington, and then I came back and did my internship in Memphis.
The internship in Memphis was only the beginning. 3 years after teaching at local Montessori schools, she decided to open her own. And when she opened her own, she even made history, receiving a key to the city from Memphis Mayor Willie Harrington for being the first African-American woman in Memphis to run a Montessori school. And so, we're here at 1336 Peabody Avenue. And how does it feel 22 years do you still get the same feeling?
I still get the same excitement that I had when I first peeped into the windows to see whether or not this particular building would enrich the lives of the children that I wanted to teach.
It's not only the building that is enriching the lives of children here, but the educational method instituted a half a world away in Rome by this woman, Dr. Maria Montessori. In January of 1907, Montessori aimed not to create another generation of memorizers, but to give kids the power to think for themselves using their 5 senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. ¿Cuántos años tienes?
4.
¿Qué te gusta sobre escuela?
Trabajar.
Trabajar. And the kids are working on reading, writing, arithmetic, music, science, and languages at their own pace and moving on to new concepts when they are ready.
A reputation that some Montessorians have is not necessarily true. It's not a cult. And we don't just do whatever we want, and we move freely about, but we have a purpose in mind.
One of the parents, pleased with that purpose, is Dr. Diana Ruggiero, a Spanish professor at the University of Memphis, who wanted a place where her son, Noah, would thrive creatively.
I felt very welcome when I first walked into the door. The whole energy of the place was very positive. Noah was a very hyper kid, and so I decided to go to a place where he's going to be well taken care of.
Ruggiero says Hibbler goes beyond the call of duty for the children.
She's amazing. I think that she's doing more than she should be doing. I mean, she's just like a person I admire. Like, I could put her in my Hall of Fame, like Madre Teresa and Montessori herself. I think she's doing a lot with the school, and I wish there would be more schools like that.
Hibbler continues to grow the school, recently adding a toddler room.
Gonna shake like what?
The growth isn't stopping with her, though, because that 4-year-old daughter, who inspired Hibbler, followed in her mother's footsteps.
And now siguiente, sit down.
It was not intentional, though. When I grew up, she began the school when I was 8. So, of course, I became fond of the children and what she was doing. I didn't necessarily want to go into the education field, but when I got to college and realized, hey, this is something I'm going to do for the rest of my life, it might be something that I love and I'm passionate about, I decided to go on into the education field because it's kind of like it comes natural to me. I do have a passion for educating children, working with them in different ways.
With the teacher's passion for teaching and the children's appetite for knowledge, one thing is certain: these Montessori kids are on a path where
They begin to think for themselves.
All right, I hope you all enjoyed that report. Kelsey, would you ever consider sending future little yous off to
Little me's.
little
Definitely.
yous off to an alternative school so they could learn differently, still learn the same stuff that we learned in public school?
Absolutely. I think it's very important for children to be able to learn different languages because it also helps their learning process with other subjects, math, reading, science. It builds that part of the brain that most people don't even use.
Right.
So I think that's very important. I mean, I've always said I would have a child and just teach them Spanish so when I take them to school, they'll be confused, like, what? Just playing. But, you know, yeah, I think it's very important, very important.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of The Conversation. For The Conversation, I am Joshua Bolden.
And I'm Kelsey Simeon.
And y'all have a good day.